What's going on, you guys? Welcome to Suzerain. Yes, this is the other game I've been playing. It's actually really interesting game. It's just a lot of reading. Basically, I'm the president, the head honcho, guy that runs the show. And so I'm trying to make like reforms in the country. Rewrite the Constitution, and apparently the Supreme Court justices don't like that. But the people want reform, so gotta do it. And so this is the country. It's these. Ooh. WASD keys work good. These 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 provinces. This province is very underdeveloped, so what I'm doing is I'm building a highway from here all the way here, and it's supposed to give a lot of jobs to people here. In fact, I've had some guy named Stalk, I don't know. This guy in this game, he's like a head multi-billion, whatever, trillion-dollar guy, and he reminds me of that bald head white guy from House of Cards. Reminds me of him. Tusk. Reminds me of Tusk. In fact, I think in this game his name is Tusk. He was trying to pay me off. I was like, get the frack out of Dodge before I knock the shit out of you. But overall, things are going well. I'm trying to make an alliance. Not an alliance, but me and him are trying to be tight. Eventually maybe at one nation. These guys are actually putting divisions on the border right now and sending in weapons to people around in this area to try to begin like a civil war kind of thing. I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't do anything, my friend. Alright, let's see. And the cool thing about this game is it's not like you have direct hands on the country. Your advisors, your secretaries of state, they actually do the work. You make the decisions. Monica, Dina. Children who talk back to their fathers don't get dinner. Fan these flames, will you? I'll be an asshole father if that was. It's okay. Alright. We are family. You can ask anything. Like at dinner, and you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't. I knew what happened in the 20s. We learned about it in school. Yeah, there was a civil war in the 20s. Images of soldiers advanced toward me and my friends, weapon drones of people I knew, friends and neighbors. Wow. Those were dark times. Before the Empire. Well, my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. Your generation will never understand. It's funny, the whole generation thing. That whole thing is such a BS thing, and I'm so sick of hearing it. Because, like, check this out. This is all right, so I was born in the 80s, right? And, went in the did the military in the 2000s, right? And when I was born, right, and, we were growing up, we would hear, oh, you guys, your generation has it so easy with your VHS players and your Walkmans, with your cars and automatic, transmission. It's just like, when we were young, right, we didn't have automatic transmission. You had to move the car, and you had to have some grip to it, you had to have some muscle, and we didn't have VHS. We didn't even have color TV. We had one channel, it was black and white, and I would be like, give me a break, all right? And so I ran into a soldier, and we're talking about basic training and stuff like that. And I found out he was in the same battalion, recruit training battalion that I was in. And, I asked him, I was like, is this still there? Is this still how they do it? I didn't go to him and says, oh, you guys have been coddled, I did ask him, I was like, do they drill instructors still, like, beat recruits? And I forgot what he said. He says, no, they're not supposed to, but... I mean, there were rumors or something like that. Might have said something like that. He says they do yell and grab you and stuff like that, I think. But I could have been like, oh, that's all? They don't hit you anymore? I could have been like, yeah, they don't hit you anymore? Your generation's weak. It's just like, they used to punch and kick us and all this stuff. I didn't do that. Because I'm like, why? I'm not going to say that I'm better than him. I'm like, stupid, it really is, I do at home joke around with my kids. I tell like the little one, because she has like she has a TV, right, and she has Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, probably a few more, and so we fight over the big TV, and it's like 50-inch versus her 32-inch. And she was like, I want to watch this TV. And I'm like, you have the same channel. She was like, I know, but I like it out in the living room. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, Alex wants to watch Mickey Mouse, right? He's 1.5. She was like, why? I'm so sick of Mickey. And I was just like, you can go in your room. She was like, I'm tired of my room. I'm like, it's the same thing. And I was going to get into that thing. I was like, let me tell you something. When I was young, we didn't have cable. Like, we were actually the first family to get cable in, like, the mid or late 90s or whatever it was. Everybody came to our house to watch stuff. But, my TV, channels 1 through 11, well, 2 through 11, channel 6 wasn't available. I don't think channel 10 was available. So it's not, like, the full... But I didn't even do that. But I do say to her, it's just like, there's nothing to watch. I'm like, I do say stuff like this. I'm like, Emma, you don't have anything to watch. You literally have tens of thousands of TV shows on Netflix. You have tens of thousands of movies. Same on Amazon. Same on Hulu. I mean, I'm sure you can find something to watch. So I'll say stuff like that, but... I do make analogies with sometimes, like, I do prefer the way things were when I was growing up, like, you had Nintendo, you had the computer, but, like, the internet was really in its infancy. Games were very, very basic, and you got to go out, hang out with your friends, make really strong friendships with people. I mean, just get into trouble, do stupid shit, good stuff. I do miss that. I feel like she's losing out on that mainly because she's home and she's on the iPad all the time, playing Roblox, but also it's also different. We're in a pandemic, so there's a lot of factors. All right, so let's see what's going on in this. These provinces are kind of quiet. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, jeez. My driver, Surge. We'll be arriving at the hotel. Trying to be a nice guy. I'm not like a shit guy in this one. Sir, I just want to say it's been great these last 2 months. As you know, my wife Susan recently gave birth to our son, sir, and now our daughter just started a very good high school in Holsword. I'm worried that I wouldn't be able to afford a good private school if she scored less than in the entrance exams, but I should have made my insecurity get to me. Erica outsmarts me all the time. I'm very proud to have a daughter like her. So, see, this would be an asshole thing to say. So the thing is, don't be an asshole to people, right? Like, don't be an asshole. Like, first day I could have said, "Hey, asshole, start driving," right? I'm a nice guy with him, right? And just because I think, you know, I should be a nice guy, I'm trying to like be a nice guy. But you know, this can like branch off to things like it was already an assassination attempt. Now, Serge got me out of there quick as possible, but let's say somebody's trying to shoot me in the car, right? Like, and Serge, you know, me and him are good friends. You know, he might, you know, get me out of it again, or might even take a bullet for me, you know? That's what happens when you're not an asshole. See, that is none of your business. I guess we'll have to make that small talk. Oh, that would be a really cool thing to do, right? I mean, if we have money, right? Doesn't tell me how much money I have, right? Like, oh, that's one note that I actually wrote in this whole game. Personal wealth. So I have only one. So obviously I probably don't want to. If I'm down to 0, doesn't mean I'm broke. Hotel West was supposedly the best hotel in Narber. Large 25-story main building was undoubtedly one of the taller, more expensive buildings in the city. Towered over nearby slums and had a target for protest when it was first built. Crowd was gathered in front of the hotel with welcome committee at its center as with approach red carpet entrance. Serge got out of the car, opened the door, bowed his head respectfully. So I left the fresh air of Nobel filled my lungs almost immediately. Everyone present in the crowd flocked over to me with an excess display of courtesy, a mass that I was very used to. Alright, I guess I'm doing something. Who the heck are they? Who the heck is this guy? Is an author in Sora's government who serves as Ministry of Health. He is member of the Soran Party. His government, blah, blah. He was elected to some, blah, 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 blah. He was important, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Mr. Minister of Health, ironically somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer, but his authority on social affairs could not be questioned. Such a spectacular view. Then who are you? Minister of Education. Alright. Spectacular. Indeed, but if you look at the opposite side, you will see Seoul's decades of neglected to the city. Most of the people living in Narbel are farmers, workers, farmers, and their wives and children. They're breaking their backs for close to no pay, all thanks to greedy corporations. We can't really blame the companies, that's just how they work. I'm not gonna say anything there. I am not one of those people that, you know, I'm just not gonna even go there. You don't have to be born poor to sympathize with the plight of the impoverished, much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognize Shoreland's need for partly among the sexes. You know, I always think about like poverty, and I always think about how fortunate we have it. Lucky, fortunate. We've kind of, you know, we have a house, we have a fridge with food and pantry filled with food, and you know, I read in a newspaper like for some people it's really, really tough, you know, especially people are, you know, work as like waiters and restaurant staff, laid off because, you know, there's no work for this or that occupation. And I was reading about this one Spanish American family in California where they had to rent out their bedroom and to a couple because they weren't able to cover expenses. So the whole family, mother, father, daughter, and son are sharing one bed. And I just keep thinking to myself, wow, like, wow. And, you know, I've worked construction. I've worked with, you know, getting paid little. You know, I started working when I was like 14, doing construction, working with, you know, for little to no money, really hard jobs, dirty jobs. And I've worked with, you know, Irish immigrants, South American, Central American immigrants, Eastern European immigrants, and they're all hardworking. They're all hardworking, all of them. Like, to me, a lot of times I look at them and I'm like, you guys are like robots. Like, you don't stop, right? You don't, like, they rarely ever take a break. And I remember asking, I was like, guys, you just like keep going. It's like, oh, job got to get done. I was just like, wow, man, like, you're breaking your back for peanuts, and I knew the person that owned the company, well, family member, and I wasn't getting a paid special or anything like that. I was actually getting paid less than they did, which I was glad, because I wouldn't want to get paid. I didn't have it as an experience. I was learning from them. But, it really kind of bothers me that, like, you have people of the same age, right, that they go into work making minimum six-figure salaries, 900,000, or seven-figure salaries, having 2-3 houses. The other 2 houses are completely, well, those are my houses, but that's my February house, and that's my September house, and I got 3 boats, and it really bothers me. They don't understand hard work. And some of them will say, well, I climbed a ladder, so I did your job. I did that job, and I climbed the ladder. I'm like, yeah, but you did climb the ladder, but you think it's right that, I don't know, Yannick's making $10 or $11 an hour. Last time you paid him was like a month or 2 ago, and you're worrying about getting a boat. Like, come on. Or upgrading the mansion, like, I don't know. It just bothers me a lot, and that person who's wealthy is a really amazing person, a really good person, and he was a blue collar worker all his life, and money hasn't really changed him, really hasn't. He's still a really good person, but other family members, I've noticed a change, and it's sad, because I love those family members, but ever since, I guess, that first million or 2 million, the crowd that they hang out with. I remember there was one time I went for Christmas, and Christmas at their house was like awesome. I mean, they had the construction company, and they had houses in New York. And every time we went to their house for Christmas, it was amazing, right? There was Heike, I remember Heike, and blue-collar workers, right? You had like Jimmy, he's an Irish plumber, and another guy who was, I think he was an accountant. Then you had another guy that was an electrician. I would say about half the table is construction worker kind of things, guys. And some people were working retail as managers, or just as working retail kind of thing. And I really loved those Christmases, because those people, believe it or not, like, I still remember them. They were awesome people. Like, I would have a discussion with them. We would just bullshit about, they would come up to me and they'd be like, hey, Jean, it's just like, so how's St. John's prep? And I'm like, oh, good. My school. Yeah, how is it? I'm like, oh, it's good. It's just like, what do you think about, what college are you thinking about? Oh, this one. It's like, you know where you're planning to like focus in? And I'm like, I don't know. How's everything with you? I was like, it's good. We just redid the roof, and it was an arm and a leg. I was thinking about doing it myself, and like, really great conversations. And then and they remember year after year, like the next year after that, and be like, how was junior year? I heard you got great marks. And I'm like, yeah. Talk to them once a year, and they and Heike was like, I see her like once or twice a year, and she knows everything that's going on about me, and she's like, how's everything? Good. And certain person that I only known a couple times in my life, I feel like I can open up to her and be like, there's this girl I'm trying to, get with, but, I don't know. She says some of the weird, stupid stuff, and so I don't know if she's being, if she's like really selfish and stuff like that. I don't know if I want to get into involved with her. If she's too much like that. But it was really awesome, and the food was absolutely delicious, and you had the kids running around. It was awesome, and it sucked that the night had to end. We slept over and then woke up the next morning. Those Christmases were like incredible Christmases. I love them. My sister loved them, mom, dad, and then something changed when her mansion opened up. She was working on construction. She told us that Christmas, next Christmas, we're going to be in the mansion. It's like, oh, wow. So I'm assuming that's where the first millions came through. And I tell you, showing up at that Christmas was probably the worst decision, because we walked in and we're like, wow, Dad, this place is huge. I mean, like, the bedrooms are massive. It was huge. It was like a mansion. It was a mansion. You had horses out in the back. They had their own stable, whatever. I don't know how many cars, trucks she had at that point. It was a lot of stuff. And I remember I was just floored by it, and just felt different. It didn't feel comfortable. It felt kind of hollow in a way. I don't know if it was just her old apartment, her old house was smaller. Maybe there was not too much room, but this place had so much room, and like the ceiling was, I mean, you would need to freaking stack 10 guys just to reach it, 78-inch TV, 80-inch TV back when we only had 32-inch TV. It was very unusual. And then there were people there already, and I was like, oh, well, some of these people are new. And they were in suits. I was like, who the fuck? I mean, suits? We come to Christmas, I mean, like, we'll put on a nice sweater, or, maybe a nice shirt. I mean, you could put on pants if you want to, if you're coming from church. But you could also come in jeans, no big deal. And they were dressed up like going to, like, a board meeting. And I'll never forget, like they kept to themselves. They didn't even say hello. Like, they just looked at us and looked away. I'm like, all right. So it was me, my mom, my father, and Nicole, and we just kind of kept to ourselves. And it was really weird. My aunt came by, and she had to talk to us for a few minutes, and then was cooking, and so she was running back and forth. We were like, where's Heike? And she's like, oh, Heike's not coming this year. Now, Heike and my aunt were best friends for like decades, from back when she was a waitress in the city. I was like, wow. And she's like, yeah, we had a falling out or something like that. It turns out, I think the falling out was because of the company the dad was keeping. Something like that, I believe. And it was really weird. Like, Liam and Simone had new friends. They said hello and then went up to their room, so we rarely saw them. And I remember just kind of like sitting in front of the TV, having no one to talk to. Nicole came by, maybe had a few words with her, and it was just boring. It was boring. I was on my phone. Thankfully, I brought my phone. It was just very weird, man. It was really weird. And then things got worse. I remember the food came out, and traditionally on Christmas, she would set up like all the cute stuff, right? You take your chair, right, and they would have like Christmassy like utensils, but in like pockets, and a Christmas mitten kind of thing. It was kind of cute, and everything was Christmas, and it felt very homey. And this time we're doing paper plates. I'm like, oh, "Oh, okay." And then we're gonna be using plastic knives and forks. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then she brought out like the appetizers. And let me tell you something. Every year with the appetizers, oh man, they go in quick. And there was a lot of it, but it went quick. And they it was so good. And then this year was just like, oh, just these, yeah. And then also we have this. It's Portuguese, and then we have this, and there was not a lot of it, and it was just It's like, all right, well, I'll just wait. I guess I'll have a little bit and wait for dinner. Dinner came. It was like a turkey, and I think like potatoes, but the potatoes didn't have like, it just felt, I don't know, just didn't have really flavor to it. It was just, and it was just basic. It was just like three things on the table. And I was just like, oh. Because generally it would be like turkey, chicken, ham with like just toppings, and you would have, I mean, just everything was there, like too much. Like eventually, just one. Every other Christmas, it was just like one pass. Your plate was just stacked with food. This time it was like, okay, I got the turkey, I got the potatoes, I got whatever this third thing is, and I was like, that's it. Finished it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's all right, I guess. That's it. So I was just, I don't know. It was just very, underrated, I guess. I was looking into their pantry to see what other snacks I can get because I was still kind of hungry. Having beers just to kind of like, fill my belly and stuff like that. But the big problem was Anya came, and Anya, she cleans houses, and she on top of cleaning houses, she also cleaned Dagmara's house, the previous house, and now she's cleaning, I think, Dagmara's mansion now. Or was, I don't know. But I remember I was in the living room and she was crying. And my mom and my dad went over to her and they were talking to her. And I was going to go over. And I started walking over, I think. And they finished talking. And she went outside. Anya, my mom and dad came toward me. I'm like, what's going on? Why is she crying? Well, apparently one of the guests, the new guests, some psychiatrist woman who's nut job. I'll tell you, she's a nut. Freaky woman. She's a psychiatrist, which is, anyway. I think it was her, or was it the other psychiatrist? I don't know. Whatever it was a doctor, maybe. I don't know. I lost track, but there was so many of them upscale. Half of them were stock managers, whatever, I think. And one of the women went over to her and said, "How do you know Dagmara?" And she was like, "Oh, I used to. We're friends. I also clean her house." She's like, "Oh, you're the maid?" It's like, "No, I clean Dagmara's house." She's like, "You shouldn't be here. This is not for you. You should not be here." Anya was there every single year. She was part of our family. We were really close with Anya. And when that woman said that to her, she started getting her stuff and she started breaking down crying. And that's when my mom and dad approached. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And I didn't like any of those rich motherfuckers. Like, I wanted to, like, they don't have even the gall to say, hello, hi, my name is Rick, or whatever. Nothing. They give you a cold shoulder. And one of the guys knew I was working for Apple at the time. And he's like, oh, I hear you work for Apple. And I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, he would ask me questions about Apple. And he was anti-Apple It's just like, Apple is going to fall apart after Steve Jobs. You wait. Within a year, there's not going to be an Apple. And I'm like, well, I highly disagree. There's some incredible people that work there, like geniuses and legends. They're just smartest people I've ever met in my life. Steve Jobs was everything. He was completely wrong, by the way. This was like 2011, I think, 2010, 2011. And if you look at Apple stock from 2010, 2011, it just kept soaring. Just unbelievably. And I remember a couple years later running into him. He bit on his tongue. But I'm going to finish off with this, that I remember after all those scumbags left, Dagmara was wondering what happened. My mom was telling her the story with Anya, and she said, yeah, she did the same thing to me. And I looked at my mom, I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, that lady came over to me and she said, how do you know Dagmara? And she was like, well, I'm her sister-in-law, Richie's his sister, It's like, oh, okay, then that's okay. I was like, Ma, let me tell you something. If you would have told me that, I would have pulled that woman to the side. Me and her I would have drill instructor. Because nobody talks to my mom like that. No. Like, you talk to my mom like that, woman, you're walking home without shoes. That was something, man. That was some gall to tell my mom, be like, that it's okay for her to be there. If she would have told my mom, imagine she would have told my mom that you shouldn't be here. Ho, ho, ho. That would have been something. I'm planning to help by using an increased budget to improve the quality of healthcare. That could prove useful, but we need to be doing a lot more. Education has similar issues. There's another subject I want to mention. I have been working on improving the rights of workers in our country, and I've proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. He gave his support. Sutherland has fallen behind most countries on the subject, and it's my responsibility to ensure that is not the case. It is also a matter of life and death. Every decade we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for workers' safety. So would you back the bill when it arrives? You will receive all the sections in outline. I'm getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussions. Switzerland has a free healthcare system except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the population receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appear in rural areas due to the lack of quality services. I am doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best healthcare I can. I also personally want to solve the high infant mortality rate. There are 10 beds per 10,000 citizens. Are you kidding me? Which is a very good number according to our... Oh, okay. We see a lower number in countries in Angola, but obviously can't match. Okay. We have 31.5 doctors, 73 nurses working for administration. That is a high number. What I think is, I don't want to be rude, How many are in urban and rural areas? The data shown that per 10,000 people in urban areas there are about 11 doctors, while in rural there are only 3. Oh wow, okay, that's a big discrepancy. (65) Infant mortality rate is worrying. 85 per one. What? 85 per 1,000 births, while our maternal is 90 per 1,000. Jeez. With pleasure, Swords for Education is free, but we have a very outdated system that I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young women. The administration has the power to solve both problems. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas while I cleanse our educational system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. This is going to be bad. Oh, it's 80%. This is a very good indicator for future growth, but it needs to increase. It's also far fewer among girls than boys. England. Okay, and... Okay, interesting. That's correct, although Latvian shows statistics for Naris region, which is also vast and illiterate, and this underlines my point. Currently, there are about 5 million students, 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary, and 1 million in tertiary. There are 155 teachers. That's it? I think there needs to be a change in the way that we should help children to question, educate themselves. Salaries for teachers are very low here. We need to increase their pay. Look at the impoverished city. The streets full of potholes, the hospitals barely function, the school half open. This is not about Saul or even Alfonso failing. The decay in Swordland's forgotten regions have been going on for many decades due to structural corruption, which is fueled by capitalism. That remains to be seen. I'm working on a new education system, and your support would be welcome. One way or another, we need to transform greed and unchecked capitalism while not magically providing for the people. Oh, my bad. I aim to solve problems and allocate my building schools in these less fortunate rural areas through fundamental changes to education. I will unlock the potential. Good. I'm not a supporter of the private sector in education because at the end of the day, our focus on profit first. So I created a draft plan to increase the salary of doctors, upgrade the hospitals. I could do more with increased budget. Additionally, privatization plans promote private interests in the healthcare system could allot extra funds. This is one of the reasons I'm optimistic about the upcoming budget debates. With enough funds, we can build hospitals where necessary and expand the quality of our services. A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the private citizen. Besides, I believe we have decided to promote a more planned economy. My expectation from the government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. I have bailed out people in need instead of businesses. Trust me, my priorities are correct. It has shown your dedication, but there are many years ahead of us. This is just the beginning of our journey. No matter how small a step, it is still progress. I think we covered all necessary subjects. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. The weather was okay. Just looking at the attire was easy to understand the current state of Narbel. Some people were wearing clothes a few sizes too large. Some kids didn't even have shoes. Jeez. That's crazy. Oh, we gotta do something about that. Somehow, someway, we gotta do something. Jeez. Jeez, man. Oh, man, they cut off his tongue. Jeez, what the frack is going on? Good, alright. Oh, hold on. However, government officials added that there were a couple of delays related to transportation of construction materials which were not included in the SSCs. That shit better be going. I want that highway done. Do you understand me? Jeez. What's going on here? Hopefully good stuff. The mayor of Morna has reported that their industrial output numbers this year are 12% lower than last year. They are requesting additional support to improve the industrial capacity, including machinery personnel to combat the downward trend. With the construction of several new factories in Morna, mayor stated his belief that an economic upturn is still possible. Great. More bad news. Read the report from Morbell. A coal mine has collapsed in Morbell. Emergency. Oh, great. 82. Negligent in working conditions by the mining group. Surprise. Jeez. Definitely a lot of strife and shit going on. Oh, there's a lot of stuff here. Alright. Alright. Workers' right bill nears completion. Being prepared for the first draft review. Voices from the labor union show strong signs of support. A session dedicated to the bill in the assembly proved contentious. The people that form the backbone of the sordid economy will finally be protected from extensive laws. By extensive law, receiving both cheers and boos. So I wanted this mining companies to like, hey, we don't want this voting workers' rights bill. Yeah, because you want your mines to collapse and kill your freaking workers. Yeah. I was watching this movie on, I think it was Netflix, about how like 5 guys went into a mine, and because it was a nightmare. They went into the mine, everything was collapsing on them. They went to like emergency supply section, and nothing was there. It was empty. It's like, jeez. And it was based on a true story, I think. NFP. He specifically emphasized that this will lead to unwanted elements entering the assembly as outright. Oh, give me a break. Recently outlined their demands for the reform package. He declared that without the implementation of term limits and limited decrees, it would be very difficult for him and his stand behind the reform package. So everybody wants something different. Many members of the USP, which is my party, and reformist wing of the party clarified demands from the government in the party for the upcoming constitutional reform. Calvin Albin Calvin, oh I like that. Albin Calvin, ooh, stated that without minister reforms, they won't be able to stand behind a new reform package. An investigation on the unrest between those organizations on post-assassination unrest has concluded. Both organizations haven't officially organized or called for illegal actions, but several low to middle level leaders from both have links to insightful actions that led to death, injuries. Ban them both. Thousands of police officers conducted cease and desist operations. Our forces closed hundreds of organizational offices and affiliate businesses all around the country. Additional judges have been given orders to block all bank accounts and to freeze all assets. Dozens of peaceful protests from the members of each organization were forcibly dispersed. Two separate shootouts, one in Jen and another in Lakiv, have lightly wounded all 5 officers who are being treated in hospitals. Most of the operational capacity of both ends have ceased, but cleanup operations continue. Interesting. So, I cut their legs off. They ain't going to be able to do much. Alright, let's get this Constitution on the way. Come on, come on, come on! Secretary. Good morning, Mr. President. That's a sleazy thing to say. I feel better now that I've seen you. Mr. Rain, can you give me a hint about the reform plans? If you ask me, taking away from the judges' immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. I'm not saying that, sweetheart. I hope you'll keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. Alright, Minister of Justice, my Vice President, this guy. I like this guy. He drinks like me. And Chief Strategist. Morning. Time to get to this final proposal thing. Petra placed the draft in front of me. After your modification, we'll be starting the process. Let's start. Alright. According to Article 77 and Article 82, the President may veto a bill by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The articles do not contain any information on how to override a veto. As a consequence, the President has an absolute veto power that cannot be overwritten by the Grand. So the whole point is to remove power from the President. Yeah, and that's what the American way. The new Constitution will now include any veto power. President may not block any legislation passed by the Grand. How about that? Would that work? Section 2. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, amendment may be proposed by members of the Assembly with at least 150 signatures. Okay, a 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for the amendment. As a consequence, the Supreme Court, which is not part of the elected legislative branch, has enormous power in the amendment process. Alright, they're going to be pissed off by that. Section 3. According to Article 17, the President of Swordland is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of presidential duties, except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such case, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in joint session with an absolute majority of its members. Therefore, the impeachment process only includes the Supreme Court and gives them the great power over the executive. Alright. President may be impeached with a 2/3 majority in both Grand National and the Supreme Court. What do you guys think? I'm not doing the third option. The president needs to be impeached. You can't have a dictator. If I just leave it to the assembly, that's where I kind of want to go. But the Supreme Court, should the Supreme Court get involved? Technically, American way, they don't. They just do the case. They just kind of moderate the case. They're judges. The jurors are the assembly. I mean, I removed the Supreme Court's ability, right? Just recently. What was the thing I removed? Yeah, their veto power I removed. I'll give them something. Let's just leave it there. According to the Constitution, the President appoints the ministers to the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. The President appoints ministers to the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. This requires no confidence vote. The President may nominate ministers, which will require confidence. Yeah, that's what we do in the States. The Grand Nation may nominate. Alright. Section 5. According to Article 50, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. Oh, excuse me. The votes of the parties who pass the threshold are redistributed proportionally, meaning USP, which currently holds the lead, would be the main beneficiary. I'll do that. That's my party too. I'm weakening my party, but the more parties that there are there, the better. It's kind of like competition. The more competition, the better. Alright, presidential decrees. According to Article 18 and 51, the president is able to issue decrees on political, social, and economic issues that would carry the force of law. They could not contradict the Constitution or are subject to judicial review. Therefore, the president may issue decrees in many subjects without going through the Grand National Assembly. However, the Assembly must pass legislation on the same subjects to override. Okay. That would carry the will not be able. That would carry. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I'll do that. Allowing one individual to be able to run, be elected. 2 limits, just like George Washington put in. The Constitution gives a justice of the Supreme Court total immunity and describes no procedure of impeachment, making them untouchable. It can be. Section 9, honorary membership of Tarkin Saul. Article 99 of the Constitution defines the member of honor title, its appointment procedure, as well as the rights their members may exercise. Member of honor has absolute immunity and is considered to be a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. They are given control of their own special security team, provided by the state's presidential guards. A member is also eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only person who holds the title is Tarkin Saul. Yeah, no absolute immunity. Yes, I am sure. For the most part. They'd rather change it and discuss it among them. Uh-oh. Looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed, but I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not fond of that idea. That's true. It will be tough to get all of their support. Some of our members may try to openly fight against this. We'll figure it out. We will do all our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? I will say that I do not agree with a new law that gives the Assembly the power to impeach the judges of the Supreme Court. Why? You want them to be there forever? I'm also against the Chief Justice and his obstructionist behavior, but even if we get rid of all, new justices will be less independent with the law. They'll be scared to go against the administration when it's needed. They need the protections to do their job, otherwise the new ones will be pawns just like Seoul's old guards. But it's important that we get rid of the old guards. After the obstacles are gone, we can strive to make it better. However, you have to be careful, Anton. I'm sure you will be fine, but with all that's happening out there, we need to prepare against these threats one way or another. We will be working on the wording of the proposal where our legal experts for propose. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. So you need to strong speech to get behind them, but I advise you to talk to the leaders of both conservative and reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mrs. Clavin supports the reforms already. Mr. Tory, she is she became the real heavyweight after we left for the executive. Ms. Gloria will be tougher to break. The problem is that she is capable of turning the moderates and conservatives against us. As much as I don't want to say that, if she makes demands to change the proposal, you may need to give in. Alright. Interesting. Alright, this is kind of exciting, man. Constitution is about to be rewritten. I had a part in that, which is pretty sick. Alright, so that's the next thing I gotta do. Alright. So I did that. Red Youth's bans. So that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. That highway project. Getting money out to the people. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. The problem is the old guard. This is the Chief Justice. That Tusk guy, I don't like him. I think this guy was good. But she's going to be a handful from what people have been telling me. Right now there's 250 seats. We occupy 130 of them. That's why we have the majority. The reformists are 70. The ultra-conservatives are 40. And independents are 10. So I forgot how much do I need. But this is going to be broken up a lot. And that's the way I want it, right? I want to have multiple parties. And then get rid of the old guards. So, we'll see. We'll see. Alright, I think I'm going to end it right here, guys. Well, let me see what the newspapers say. Effective immediately, the administration has announced a ban on the anti-government Ban also states that it's strictly forbidden to carry symbols. Blah, blah, blah. Any person who doesn't abide will be 2-year sentence. Tensions eases in some cities. Still, several major cities have some scattered reports of violence. Tens of thousands walked on memorial protests. Okay. Despite his opposing USP, even calling Rain yet another pawn that's put us forward as candidate during the campaign. It is the first time the USP government that a president is cornered to work. Interesting. Preparations underway for annual benefit festival. All right. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Once that highway's done, man, it's gonna be good stuff, man. I'm gonna have a dinner with those people, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna leave it off here because I know my son woke up, so I'm gonna try to help the wifey with my son. But yeah, getting this game is really cool, really cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.